So I think we need to start. Welcome, everyone. Thank you to join us in these 30 minutes of conversation with some distinguished guests and my colleagues for other space agencies. I'm Ricardo. I'm the responsible for the national Portuguese Space Agency, and I have with me here today are the space agencies that are also responsible, and some institutions that are responsible to implement some space education and outreach. I will follow this order. Andy, my dear friend Andy Shower, for the South Africa Space Agency. And then I have Melissa Force, a strong name, right? Force, with the Spaceport America. And my dear colleague, my colleague in the agency, Marta Gonçalves. She's an Education and Science Officer, the Portuguese Space Agency, and from Australia, Brennan Diu is also involved in these education and outreach issues. So this will be, I hope this will be an open conversation. We have some slides, we have some nice videos to present to you. But what I really want to pass the message is we are living a moment that we need to inspire young generations for this big challenge that we have in front of us, the coming and some expectations for space exploration, the technology development, and all the things that space inspire us. And for sure, we need to take these opportunities to engage the young generations for to be the next professionals in this area. And I will start with Andy Shower, Melissa. And I have here a short bio from Melissa. She's acting as CEO of the South African National Space Agency, and Melissa led the Earth Observation Program since 2017, prior joining SAMSA. And she was in the group of Earth observations in Switzerland, driving collaboration in Africa. And I think it's a moment to give the stage to you, Melissa. Welcome, and please.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. Thank you so much for that introduction. I would like to share a bit on what the South African National Space Agency is doing on science engagement, outreach, but we actually look through the whole value chain from learner all the way to professional development, but I will keep this up to tertiary level engagements. What I will also try to share is also the value of international collaborations, actually as well as national collaborations, because we realize that as a space agency, we cannot really achieve the level of outreach that we are looking at if we just do it alone. So we partner with the institutions nationally as well as some of the space agencies internationally as well. So firstly, if we talk about the learner engagement, which broadly we call our science engagement, we're looking at ensuring that we directly reach young people, learners that are still at school. This is before grade 12 or before they just graduate, before they go to university. We use a different number of instruments for these engagements. One, we have science centers, so at SANSA we have our own science center, which enables learners to come and experience some of the different aspects around space. It's a well-equipped science center. We complement this with a mobile lab, because there are areas where it's really difficult for the learners to get the transportation in terms of the time that it takes from where they are to get to where our facilities are at. So the mobile lab becomes very useful for us to go to where learners are. But also we use the mobile lab to also reach out to the public itself. So you'll find us shopping malls. You'll find us in the corner of the busiest intersections where there's foot traffic within the country. School visits are the one that the educators really treasure the most, because this is bringing space inside the classrooms and also complement the curricula that the education sector already has. Learner workshops are also complementary, especially when we have science festivals. But one of the elements that we found to be very effective is the space clubs, and I'll show one on robotics where learners even go to competitions. The educator development, because we cannot engage with learners without equipping the teachers as well. So the educator development really looks at how do we support the educators in carrying out their curricula. So we've managed in South Africa in the past couple of years to have Earth and Beyond, which is more the fundamental aspects around space introduced into the curricula, but the teachers need support in order to deliver the curricula to the learners. So this is one of the examples of the space clubs. Here we've got the robotics for learner science clubs. The key focus is on teaching the learners to do robotics. Here we're looking at both coding and programming, as we would know that today we really need to be coding even from an Earth observation space. If you cannot code, it becomes really difficult to deliver the kinds of solutions that are required. What learners also find very useful is providing them an opportunity to actually enter into competitions, national competitions. This year, we actually celebrated one of our teams winning one of the national competitions from the robotics items that they had developed. Here, this is one of the examples in terms of the international partnerships that we had just a couple of weeks ago. We had the Academy of Space in the UK visiting us in South Africa, and it happened to be during our National Science Week. So we had learner experiment rockets being set up, and this is in our science center in Cape Town, in Hermanus, where you can see building of the rockets, starting from the building of the rockets all the way to the launching of the rockets. Never seen learners as excited as this when they actually get to see their own rockets going up to space. So at the student level, because we do recognize that there's a requirement to grow the pipeline from the early stages, as well as once you've seed in that interest, we need to make sure that we continue to support the interest throughout. Here we're looking really to start developing a knowledge economy, and also to make sure that we've got a workforce with transferable skills. And this is the beauty around some of the subjects you're needing to do for space. One of the major emphasis for us, even at the learner level, is ensuring that we emphasize on women, and also we emphasize on what in South Africa we call historically disadvantaged. And the major part of this is reaching those communities and also reaching the part of the population that has not had the opportunity to actually be exposed in space or even work in space. So our bursary programs are very targeted. We have seen in the past 4 or 5 years an increase from 33% to 47% of bursaries that are targeted to women, and also similar from about 40 to 80% of our bursaries going to your targeted part of our community in terms of reaching out the gap on exposure. And of course, industry is really interested in this as well, because we're looking to stimulate industry and excite the next generation, because this also provides a pipeline for them as well. Specifically, though, on the rocketry program, what we also think that we could potentially partner with the European community around the rocketry program. One of our universities, KwaZulu-Natal Aerospace Systems Research Group, has established a rocket program, and here we're looking for a cost-effective but also suboptimal rockets that can generate highly skilled human capital and also enable aerospace technology development. These are hybrid rocket motor design. That's one of the areas that we're looking at. also liquid rocket engine design, and also suboptical launch vehicle designs. So there are two major flagship programs that the university has put together. One is the Phoenix hybrid rocket program, as well as the Sapphire liquid rocket engine program. You can see the progression that the team has made from 2014 to the 2021. Now for the 2021, we call it the African record because we were able to reach 18 kilometers with the flight height for the rocket. And just a sense of the experience that we all had during this. Let's see if the video is gonna. So there seems to be a delay between the picture and the sound. I'm sorry about that, but this is one of the programs that we have on the rocket side, and the team is still very inspired and very happy to have actually established an African record of 18 kilometers. So I'll say thank you on that.
Thank you, Andy. And now we jump to let's say another dimension for the space education, because there are someone here that are prepared to talk about to prepare the young generations to a professional rocketry arena. Pass to you the floor, Melissa Force.
Thank you, Ricardo.
I will, let me just present your short bio because I have here is, Melissa is a General Counsel for Spaceport America. Please tell me if I'm saying something wrong. And Melissa is a member of the International Institute for Space Law. She has obtaining her advanced LLM degree for the International Institute of Air and Space Law at Leiden University. It's right. Everything is okay. Sorry. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Bonjour. And quite an impressive education program that SANS has developed. And I'm sure that we're also going to hear from Australia and Portugal as well. Impressive education programs. As Ricardo said, the Spaceport America program is a little different. It's geared towards those students who are already in the university, have already developed their goal of launching rockets, and this is what they want to do for life. And this is our form of an education program at Spaceport America. Spaceport America is a commercial space launch facility in New Mexico in the United States. We call them spaceports. And it's run by the New Mexico Spaceport Authority. In addition to being not the only agency up here which is not a space agency, I'm also the only lawyer up here. So as Ricardo said, I've got a whole host of law degrees, but I myself am not a rocket engineer. However, all of us at the spaceport, for at least 2 months out of the year, devote ourselves virtually exclusively to putting on a rocket competition, the largest international rocket competition in the world. It's called Spaceport America Cup, and it is a partnership that we have with the Experimental Sounding Rocket Association, ESRA, or ESRA. And they are a nonprofit organization that promotes the field of rocketry. Now, ESRA has operated the Intercollegiate Rocket Engineering Competition, the IREC, since 2006. In 2017, Spaceport America partnered with ESRA to put on the Spaceport America Cup, and we've put on that competition every year ever since. Each year, over 100 university teams from across the United States and around the world compete at Spaceport America's vertical launch area in a number of different categories. Each team designs, builds, tests, and launches their own rockets designed by them with payload size of 8.8 pounds and target altitudes of either 10,000 or 30,000 feet. Rockets are typically 4 to 8 inches in diameter and 8 to 20 feet long, although that varies across the board, but those are typical dimensions. Multi-stage rockets are launched, and all chemical propulsion types, solid, liquid, and hybrid, are allowed. And the students are all judged on various aspects of their propulsion design and execution, avionics, payload, all the aspects of getting a payload into space. The first day, it's a week-long competition. The first day is comprised of each of the teams, and this year we had 150 teams from over 20 nations all around the world. They all set up their rockets, and the teams are maybe 20 to 30 or 40 students each. So these are huge teams. And they have to give presentations on each of their rockets that are assembled for 20 or so judges who all score them in all these various categories. The first day, they have to be able to present their designs, and they're questioned on them. Why did you do it this way? Why did you not do it this way? And they're vetted very carefully and scored. And then the next 4 days, each of the 150 teams takes their term launching the rocket, and then they're scored on the execution, whether the rocket makes it to the intended apogee or not, and why it didn't. They're also, each of these teams also has a recovery team that is charged with going out into the broad expanse of desert and recovering their rocket, and they're also judged on their ability to locate, find, and bring back their rocket so that the rocket can be judged by the judges again to determine what went wrong, what went right, and whether the payload was delivered. So it's a very rigorous process and a challenging one, and one that the students just love. They all return to the competition each year, and every year it gets bigger and bigger. We have a short little video, short of 3 minutes, that I'd like to show you, and you can get a sense of the enthusiasm of the students and also the industry, the space launch companies all come to Spaceport America to watch this competition so that they can pick the best talent from among all of these schools all over the world, and they interview them. They go around to each of their tents and they watch them prepare the rockets, they question them. The students can come to Virgin Galactic or Blue Origin or SpaceX or whatever company is there to talk to them, and it's very much a recruiting opportunity for both sides, for both students and for the space companies, as I believe you'll see in the video. If we can play that, you'll get a better sense.
Scott. I'm the manager of university recruiting for Sierra Space, one of the proud sponsors this year. We are so amazed at the students that we've talked to so far. So we're here both for the internship recruiting side and full-time employment. So getting to know the students where they are in their college education is really important. We have internships that will open up in August for the fall and for next year. And then right now we have over 200 open positions on our website. So we're trying to assess whether these students are ready to go to work.
My name is Tanner. I'm here with Northrop Grumman at the Convention Center here in Las Cruces, and we are here to recruit some students interested in rocketry. We've been here several years previously before this, and we've always been able to find really good talent. which is one of the main reasons why we prioritize this event year in and year out.
Hi, my name is Adam Flores. I'm currently a propulsion operations engineer here at Virgin Galactic. I'm a former New Mexico State Aggie and a former Atomic Aggie who competed in the Spaceport America Cup. Being in the Spaceport America Cup separates you from everyone else because you are now putting yourself in a position that companies are looking for on your hands-on experience. Having that ability to gain that experience will get you in the front of the line when companies are looking for top-notch engineers.
Rather than just go to a school recruiting, we can now meet students from across the country and around the world and get that diversity that we're looking for.
The Spaceport America Cup is a big recruiting event for not only Virgin Galactic, but for the aerospace industry as a whole. It is an intercollegiate rocket competition that gives us access to students and competitors from around the world. All of them are interested in rockets and space and aerospace, which is exactly what we're interested in hiring.
Yeah, so my name is Amrit Namkhalsa. I'm an electrical integration engineer at Blue Origin. I was a student or rocketeer here with Oregon State University back in 2018, and I'm here now with Blue Origin kind of as an engineering recruiter helping our campus engagement and recruiting managers talk to prospective students that would want to come work at Blue that already have that really great hands-on experience. I'm actually with the recruiter that recruited me, kind of coming full circle back to this competition.
So that was a sense of what the competition's like. It's 4 days in the desert after all of that, and it's an experience. Over 5,500 students participate, and 200 teams signed up, and 150 were chosen. And welcome you, all of you, to next year's Spaceport America Cup. Hope you can make it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Melissa. Quite impressive, and we know that you are preparing the next generation also for the to go to explore our planets in the new rockets, sustainable rockets, we hope. And let me tell you something, that the law, we need more and more international collaboration. The law is one of the areas that we need. Is more, let's say, complex than rocket science. Okay.
We could talk about that for hours.
Very good. And now I pass to Australia. From the America to Australia in 2 seconds. And we have with us Brandon Dew. Brandon joined the Australian Space Agency in January last year. And Brandon is a manager of the Australian Space Discovery Centre. The stage is yours.
Thank you for the introduction and for the clicker which is coming my way. What I think is an unintentional but rather nice segue here is that it was an Australian team, University of Sydney, who took out the overall winner of the Spaceport Cup. So congratulations to them.
You should have mentioned.
And I think they also took out the 30,000 feet or 10 kilometre off-the-shelf rocket category. So I also encourage you all to go there because Australia will beat you. Perhaps. Conscious of the time we have left, I just wanted to briefly touch on a few things that are happening in Australia. And what's very nice is that most of them are happening without input from the Australian Space Agency. So what we have on the screen here is the headquarters of the Australian Space Agency on level 3 of this building, as well as the Australian Space Discovery Centre, which is the ground floor, and that is where I work. That's where we're trying to do the education and the outreach. We're kind of like a visitor centre for the public face of the Australian Space Agency. So we're trying to promote opportunities and careers in space. And what better way to do that, I think, than rocket launches? It's an inherently inspiring thing to watch something leave our planet and usually come back down in these instances. There is a rocket competition in Australia, not run by the agency, but run by the AYA, the Australian Youth Aerospace Association. It had its first iteration in 2019. And then similar sort of categories, so it's sounding rockets, it's 10,000 feet or 3 kilometres or 10 kilometres, off-the-shelf categories. In 2020, it was meant to go again, but COVID stopped the actual launch part of that, but it was still judged on its merit, design processes and things like that. Last year it did not happen, but it's having a resurgence next year, so it will be happening again among Australian universities, which I then hope we can perhaps discuss, if there's time or people in the room, about different country-based competitions leading to some global championship. So there is a precedent in Australia, and it's a very exciting one. While here, I wanted to also touch on a couple of the other initiatives just very quickly. It's not quite rockets, but I think also inherently inspiring. Like a lot of other talks that have happened here, there is a need for talent to join the space industry, and there's a few other projects that I wanted to share. The next is a Lunar Rover Challenge, or a Rover Challenge, run by the University of Adelaide and the Andy Thomas Space Resources Centre. And I think this is such another great example of how a very hands-on mechanical engineering type challenge can inspire people to join or to pursue STEM or to fill these jobs that we want to try to fill. So this is something that had its second iteration this year. The inaugural one was last year. It's going from strength to strength, and I think there's great analogies in a type of competition like this to the more international one run by the Mars Society. Next slide is just a picture of our centre. So this is our public education centre, but it's a holding slide. The Australian Space Agency is currently investigating or looking into a national satellite challenge that will enable school university students to build satellites, and a part of that process will be allowing them or finding flight tickets to get them on space. So I think another great initiative to get people interested in space in Australia and then potentially worldwide. And then another selfish plug for our centre here as well. I think the most beautiful thing about our Australian Space Discovery Centre is that we look into an operating mission control room. This is known as the Responsive Space Operations Centre, run by Sabre Astronautics. And I think there's nothing more inspiring than being able to show a group of 30 or 40 primary school or secondary school students that this is what working in space looks like. The people in this room are doing situational or space domain awareness, satellite traffic management, solar weather observations. So there's a lot of initiatives and a lot of ways we can get people involved in space. And I hope a few of these plants the seeds of further discussions here on the table or on the board, or perhaps at the Australian booth afterwards. So a very quick presentation, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Brendan. This is an interactive, let's say, environment for the school?
This one in particular, yeah. So when the Sabre Astronautics are not busy with their own space operations, we try as much as possible to talk to them. So in this particular example, we're having a conversation with the flight director, Tom Riddell, through a sort of video conferencing system. And it's really great to have these students to be able to ask the questions about space domain awareness and all these things to the people who are actually doing it in the room next to us. It's a wonderful thing. Come and visit. It's an open invitation to everyone.
So cool, yeah. And now we jump from back to Europe and we go to Portugal. And I have Marta with us here today. Marta, she has a degree in aerospace engineering, and Marta is are responsible in the Portuguese Space Agency for science and education officer. And Marta runs our European Rocketry competition. This is a challenge in Europe that we are setting up. Marta, please.
So, hello everyone. I will talk quite fast because we don't have much time.
Yeah, we have 3 minutes.
But in the Portuguese Space Agency, we do run different activities related to education. So we have more formal activities, formal initiatives, let's say, like the scholarship, PhD scholarship calls that we launch also on a regular basis. But we also have a bit more of hands-on activities that we are fans of. Just last week, we closed the first edition of a project that we launched early this year called 0G Portugal, Astronaut for a Day, that gave the opportunity to 30 students to fly in a parabolic flight. And the goal here is to inspire them to think about what kind of opportunities they might have within the space sector in their academic future or their professional lives. But also we have the European Rocketry competition, and this year it's the third edition, just next month. So I also invite you all to come to Portugal and see some rockets. And this is actually a competition inspired in the Spaceport America Cup as well. So this brings to Portugal this year 25 teams from different European countries. We started in 2020 with only 6 teams, so it has been growing. And this gives the opportunity to European teams to come and launch the rockets they have been working on, so designing and building for the last year or maybe even more. This is a complex operation. We unfortunately do not have a desert to launch at, but we have a very nice place that the Portuguese Army lets us use, and we can then launch the rockets that participate at EuRoC. I do have a short video, just 50 seconds, which I think it's quite nice to understand a bit more about EuRoC.
And that's it. We are on time. And you see how can we link 4 continents, Africa, Australia, Europe, America. And we are responsible also to inspire some new generations using events like rocketry, engage schools in the missions that Bremen brought to us here. And this is also our responsibility to prepare the young generations for this brilliant future ahead of us. So thank you very much to join us in this short session, and see you around. Thank you very much.